Welcome back to this special Facebook Live celebration of what would have been Harry Chapin's 75th birthday. And we hope you're enjoying all the interviews that are going on today. And we have one very special interview coming up right now with Senator Patrick Leahy. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us today. There was such a special connection, I think, between you and Harry over the years. And I really do appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Oh, I'm happy to. I just wish we had Harry still. It'd be a better world. But I never enjoyed being with anybody outside my own family as much as I did with Harry. And everybody in my family enjoyed time with him, too.
Well, and I think we all can appreciate his spirit is still around here. I mean, we're all still talking about him. He was a force of nature. So whether we want to or not, Harry was going to always be there for us. But we'd love to kind of get some background from you, just how you sort of got involved with Harry and how that all started.
I'd always worked on hunger issues, and he called, wanted to talk to me about hunger issues. He never asked for anything for himself. It was always for others. I said, look, I'm a huge fan of yours. I first heard Cats in a Cradle at 3 o'clock in the morning, driving down the interstate in Vermont, heading to Boston for a meeting. But he always wanted to talk about others and how to help them. I chuckled away because my wife and I were talking about this last night. He wanted this hunger commission. And so he'd been lobbying for it at the White House and everywhere else. And we had President Carter was going to have a meeting at the White House with a number of House and Senate members, both parties. I'd be there, and Harry would be there. We got there a little bit ahead of Harry. We all have to show an ID to go through the gate at that time. Not Harry. The guys would say, "Hi, Harry, how are you?" He's up on through. So he comes in and he starts talking. As soon as President turned to him, he said, "We got to have this hunger commission, blah, blah, blah." And Jimmy Carter said, "Well, Harry, no, Mr. President, you got to understand, we have to do it because of these people and these people." Well, Harry, and another reason, Mr. President, we have to have it. Finally, one of us said, "Harry, stop. You convinced him. Don't take him out of it." President Carter has laughed about that a number of times, but of course, he set up the Hunger Commission. And there are an awful lot of people, millions of people. President Carter has laughed about it.
Go ahead. Sorry about that feedback.
No, I just think of the millions of people who got fed who wouldn't have otherwise. And you would go to Harry's concerts, which we loved. And boy, he'd put the arm on people for that, not for him, right, but for others. I can think of so many times Harry often would stay at our home when he had a concert in Washington, and my wife was going to drive him to a couple of our kids to a concert in Georgetown. There are streets blocked and all. She's getting very nervous. She's trying to drive around these to get him there on time. He finally said, "Marcel, take it easy. They can't start till I get there. I'm the star." and she was laughing so hard that it's almost hard to drive. But it's become a standard line in Vermont when I'm rushing to something where I'm supposed to speak. We're running a little bit late. I say, as Harry Chapin would say, and everybody would relax.
I love that. Going back to that commission, I mean, what's your thought of that? It seemed to me that was really the start of some real thoughtful discussion for the first time about some of the core causes behind hunger and poverty.
It was one of the major impetus, but Harry had an uncanny sense of getting members of Congress that might come from different political backgrounds, different political philosophies, and just the force of being Harry Chapin. You bring them together and they start talking about it. And of course, when somebody tried to hit him with what the statistics are, he knew this stuff backward and forward. and he'd say, here's why we have to help. But it was also typical Harry. He wasn't asking for himself, he was asking for others. I mean, he'd fly all night long to get to something, to a committee of Congress to talk and speak for this. Now, we have in some of these committee meetings, you have a light that goes on after a certain number of minutes. We just said, just let him talk, because he's making the point, and he was making it very well. I've been here in the Senate for 40 years. There are very, very few people I see as really those who drove an issue. Harry Chapin's at the top of that list. It was, this country lost an awful lot when it lost Harry.
How do you think he would think about today's situation and the environment we're living in? Is it an opportunity to really become and participate in democracy, like he always said, or would he just kind of throw up his hands and say, "Hey, we've been just dealing with this for so long that I'm done"?
Harry would never say, "I'm done." He'd never throw up his hands. He'd sit back and say, "Okay, you have people who should be working together, aren't. How do we bring them together?" I have an office in the Capitol. It's a very nice office, great view. I try to invite Republicans and Democrats to come there and talk about issues. I would love to have Harry Chapin around, because we would have a meeting there, and he would find common ground. No, it is a far more frustrating time today. I mean, I can't imagine the current president actually sitting down and talking about hungry people the way Jimmy Carter did. But Harry wouldn't give up. He would get members of Congress in both parties to do so. And, there are very few people who make a difference the way he did. And he did. We love his music. Many times when I just want to go and kind of hide out for a few minutes, I'll just play his music. One of my all-time favorite is Tangled Up Puppet. After he and Sandy had written that, he was at our home in Vermont one night with the family and our family. My daughter was around 13 or 14 years old at the time.
Yep.
And he sang that to her. Boy, she listened to every word. Her parents had the tears coming down their face, but it was so good. And further to your question, you see this effort to pull people apart so they could join these special interests. Harry brought us together for a common interest. He didn't care what your party was or anything else. He wasn't in it for himself. He was in it for people who didn't have a voice. We need more people like that.
Yeah, he really did work with both sides of the aisle, as they say, right? I mean, Bob Dole's a great example of that.
Yeah, Bob used to say to me, we'd be talking about some nutrition legislation coming up, the Agriculture Committee. And, well, I don't, maybe we should do this. I said, Bob, Harry's coming in. He said, let's work it out. Because we might as well save time, because when Harry gets done, we'll both be doing more than we plan to do. And, and he had that effect because he's honest and people respected what he's doing.
Right. Do you see somebody like that today being able to enter this environment and really succeed? I mean, nobody's going to really replace Harry and his approach probably, but is there still roles for citizens out there? And I mean, to really just kind of take it and really run with it as hard as he did and actually get somewhere today?
That's an excellent question. Is there a role for somebody like that? Yes. Who can fill that role? I don't know. We have celebrities who care, but sometimes will come and go. You have others who keep on working at it, those whom we need. There are some, but I can't think of anybody with his passion.
Right. Do you have some really fond memory? I mean, you told some of them as far as him walking into the president and continued to sell him on something that he'd already bought, right? Any other fond memories you have of Harry?
Yeah, we loved it when he stayed at our home, or either at our home in Vermont or in Washington. Our children loved him, and our youngest son, who was about 5 years old, 6 years old at the time, he would wear very T-shirts as sort of like a pajama, and Harry had heard that he had been not feeling well. He's there at home. The phone rings. We knew who it was, but I said to Mark, "You get that phone." And this voice goes, "Is this Mark Patrick Leahy?" He said, "Sir, did you want my father, Patrick Leahy?" He goes, "Mark, cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon." Mark just cheers. "It's Harry. It's Harry." He was in Australia. And he was taking time.
Wow.
Oh, this kid, wish him well. That was a happy moment. The touching moment was when he heard what happened to Harry. He took those shirts, folded them up, put them in a drawer. They're still there today.
Wow. Yep.
Now, every member of our family just loved Harry, and we would tease him, and he'd tease us right back. And Sandy and the kids, Tom, everybody. What a wonderful family.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and part of that humor, I mean, is that part of what we might be missing a little bit these days too? I mean, there's obviously serious problems everywhere you look, but at the end of the day, you still have to get along and have that emotional connection and have a laugh once in a while.
But we do need it, and we need it not to make fun of other people. I mean, he'd tease himself as much as anybody else, but he knew when it was tense, and he'd bring us together. And as I said, we so use that if we're running late for something. Remember Harry Chapin? And it diffuses the situation. I was on the floor of the Senate, and one of the people from the cloakroom came and said, we need you in the cloakroom right away. And he told me the news. I just left. I walked for an hour. I just felt such a huge void. And I felt that way when I gave one of the eulogies at his funeral. But I think everybody knew Harry was touched by it. We need people like him today. Oh God, I'd give anything to have somebody like him today.
Absolutely. Overall, is there one lesson or one that we can take away from Harry that people should really stop and think about? Because we lost him at such a young age. Sometimes I think we forget about that. What's that one thing that Harry would want us to really remember?
Harry spoke for humanity, our common interests, not for special interests. You can get 1 million people advocating for special interests. It's a rare person who advocated for the common interests for other people. He did.
Is it fair his special interest was the common people?
Oh, there's no question. And listen to some of his banter at some of his concerts. It came through pretty clearly.
Yeah. Besides Tangled Up Puppet, did you have any other favorite songs of Harry's?
Well, of course, the first one I ever heard, as I said, about 3 o'clock in the morning, Cats in the Cradle. And I was leaving Boston for a couple of days, basically to make some money, pay the bills. And I couldn't wait to get back to just grab my children and say, what would you like to do? We'll go do it. No, I love that. It's hard to pick out a favorite one because there are so many. Taxi, of course, we like.
Right.
When I heard he's coming out to a sequel to Taxi, I thought, how do you take something so perfect and do a sequel? I was listening to the sequel in the gym the other day, and I just thought, that's pretty darn good.
He pulled it off.
Oh, golly, there's no question he pulled it off. But it's, Teach Me a Song, all these things. I play his music all the time, and then I play the ones where he has a commentary in between.
Right.
And the commentary, I feel like he's sitting in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, it's as true today as it was then, right?
Oh, well, in fact, it's even more needed today than it was then. It's just wonderful. But I think everybody has to realize that he's a once in a generation kind of person.
Right, absolutely. Well, really want to thank you so much for spending so much time with us. We know you're really busy and things are a little hectic there in Washington right now.
Oh, it's totally screwed up in Washington right now.
We don't want to leave you, let you get away with not enjoying all that fun there for a while. So, but really do appreciate it. And thanks so much for helping us celebrate Harry's 75th birthday today.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Our pleasure.
Take care.
And we're going to come back in about 5 minutes. We're going to be setting up for a few more interviews. And in the meantime, for those who want to have a chance to go over to betterplacetobe.org, you'll find all kinds of goodies for you to possibly support the foundation of all good work that Harry has done. See you in a few. Bye-bye.